Check out your family, discover your history. I remember things were changing drastically. The riots in the early 70s and 80s for one thing, which led to bitterness and unrest for both blacks, whites, and Asians. We, the black youths, were not classed as British citizens according to the media, but were considered to be West Indians and nothing else. Remember mama, remember papa, check out your family, discover your history.
Hi, yes, once again we're back with RETV, and we've had a short break for a while because myself have been doing a Shakespeare play called Othello, so I've had to take a break from that. And while we're kind of on that subject, I'd like to introduce Victor
Richards, yes.
Victor Richards. He's gonna go through some of the stuff what he does, and I hear that you're a poet. So
yeah, I'm a poet, actor, writer, director, producer in my own right. But did you just say you were Shakespeare?
Yeah,
Othello.
I was actually Othello.
Wow.
So it took a lot of hard work, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And a lot of lines.
Congratulations. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk a bit later about when I do my one-man play, but I put Othello in my one-man play. Let him do his spite. My services, which I have done the secrecy, shall tongue his complaint. Wonderful. But anyway, let's go back to the beginning. It's great to be here.
Yes. It's really, really appreciate you coming here as well.
Thank you.
So, I was talking about, you're doing poetry.
Yeah.
When did you first started practicing?
I got into poetry as a result of doing the play. So the play came first, and then the poetry probably about just over 10 years ago now. And as I said, it's very much an inspiration from my Windrush play. And it's just grown, and it started off with just words and then music. And obviously, the more performances you get, the more opportunities to travel, and more inspiration and ideas. But I would say that poetry was very much inspired by Linton Kwesi Johnson. I remember watching probably his last concert in Paris that he did, and I watched it 2 hours on YouTube, and I was very inspired for my album Illusion, Streets Paved with Gold. But I don't let me run ahead of you now. So that's how I got started anyway, about 15 years. There's a few other poets around who I've worked with, I've listened to. I like the work, but I'm inspired by people at all levels, as I teach and work with people, particularly when you go into institutional places, prisons, and it's all life, isn't it? So I think the basis of the Windrush stories for me is a really good working tool. Poetry is a tool that is very good for educational purposes. So, yeah.
And in terms of actual poetry, comparing them to say like songs, do you think when you're actually performing a piece of poetry, do you have to have a certain rhythm, or is there something that, say, for example, you could say the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain, or you could say the rain in Spain falls mainly on the
plain? Well, yes and no. Obviously, once you become experienced enough, you know how to gear it up and gear it down. So if you're going to do a concert, you got 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 people in front of you. And obviously, you try and do something that you do in a library without any music. The people wouldn't shut up. So you got to gear up, and you're going to have the music with it. But then again, that comes with getting the mic right, the levels right, and the timing right. Who comes before you? Who comes after you? Have you been billed? Because sometimes if you just name is just small on the flyer or not on the flyer at all, then people don't know who you are. And if people are hearing your stuff for the first time, so these are the obvious problems that anybody trying to build and grow confidence, getting your name out there, you know. But generally, no, I can work with or without music.
And how far do you see yourself career-wise? How far do you see yourself going?
Well, it started off with me doing a one-man play, which came out of Drama College that 1996, and that was 2 years before Windrush, because the 50th anniversary of Windrush is 1948. By then I was pretty much seasoned, and the idea for doing a one-man play was to get more acting experience, because I wasn't really confident enough in getting into an acting agency and not getting enough work, not from what I've been told, not from what I've experienced. So, but then again, I was always mindful that maybe I would be typecast, or, that drug dealers thing and this and that, but generally not getting enough experience. So I made sure that I had something in my back pocket, my own production that I can take around to community day centres, which is where I started to get the experience, mommy and daddy kind of thing, and get their feedback, which was tough, very tough, and obviously progressing into community centres, and then going to some people who are doing things for Black History Month and saying, I've got this thing, can you, and then I grow. So the first 2 years I didn't ask for money, I just did it for the experience. And I did something that can fit into the boot of the car. So, and I think I hear the questions, but I think we just fill in the gaps kind of as I go through, and we just go over it and bring it up to date. Basically, I spend a lot of time teaching theatre and poetry for a wide range of people at all different levels. And one of the things I try to explain to people is you don't really need a lot of money to get into business, and you don't really need to do this, you just need an idea. And the idea, when people see that you've got an idea, more likely give you the money. That's one basic thing. And I started the whole thing with just £50. £50, bought my little set, which is the basic set that I use today, and it's been 25 years. Well, coming up to 25 years since I've been doing it. Okay, so the idea is that the play gave me the opportunity to travel. Could it fit in the boot? It was designed for non-theatre spaces, schools, colleges, day centres. And then after a couple of years, I was able to adapt it to mainstream theatre. So with all the technicals, all the sound, the music and the lighting, they like to see everything on paper, getting time. And the idea is about cost. That's the concept behind the whole thing, cost. So therefore you have 10 people in a show. By the time you get paid, there's nothing there. And groups don't stay together that long. People go off and they break down, and then you've left, if you're the writer or the producer, struggling, and you get somebody and it's never the same. So I was conscious of all these things. That led me into creating my book, my first book, Poetry Trilogy, 2008, I believe I produced the book. For me, very much inspired by my mother. As the first poem in their streets paved with gold, and obviously Windrush was still, it's in the news as it is but obviously the Windrush scandal that's come out more recently obviously blew everything up. So I went from play to the spoken word, the book, and which then led me to travel from here to Japan. So I'm just filling in the little bits, but if you want to ask me something else...
I was just saying, so, for viewers out there that don't understand or know what the actual Windrush and the Windrush scandal was, do you have a...
Yeah, the Windrush, it's all about a German warship that was converted, that brought the first 500 plus Caribbeans, mainly from Jamaica, from the Caribbean to England in 1948. It landed at Tilbury Docks in London. And that's what the big commotion is still all about, the idea. So that's basically what it's all about. There were many ships that came before and after that, but that boat, for all the historical reasons, is the most famous boat. Why? Because of Enoch Powell. And when they landed, they didn't want them to get off the boat. Wanted to send them back. But these are guys and girls who had fought in the Second World War, and they were entitled to come. But obviously, we knew what the concerns was. Is the fact is okay. They helped to Britain to win the war, but we don't really want them here. So that's the whole thing. Everything else you can get online, but that is it. Because a lot of people don't know. But yeah, Windrush boat is 1948. It's called the Windrush. It landed at Tilbury Docks in 1948.
Okay. And while we're here, we're going to have a look at some footage from yourself, and then we'll get back with you straight away.
Looking out for this.
They said, listen to the streets that was paved with gold. They said it's a story that's never been told. Dreamt of the high, the touch, the low. It's given them a passion for time. But within their hearts they felt their souls in the streets that was paved with gold. The winter's here, the faces there, create the feeling of despair. The labor shortage after the Second World War led to the 1948 British Nationality Act being passed, which all persons born in the Commonwealth countries and British colonies became British citizens and therefore had the right to enter, live and work in Britain along with their families. Looking for rental accommodation was just as difficult as finding a job. I had to walk from street to street looking. It was hard walking in those shoes, especially when you read such signs saying no Irish, no dogs, no blacks. Maybe wonder what kind of country I come to. Man, I tell you one morning, I put on 3 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of underpants, my long johns, all of my jumpers and my overcoat and my chilby hats. Visited 10 rooms that morning, one I remembered very well. Had to climb 5 flights of stairs, and when I reached the top there was no carpet, the window was cracked, it was damp all over, the single bed was stale, pukey marks, it smelled bad. The owner said to me it was his best room, take it or leave it. I took one leg and headed back down the stairs. They said listen to the streets that was paved with gold. They said it's a story that's never been told. Dreamt of the high, the touch, the low, it's given them a passion for time. But within their hearts they felt their souls in the streets that was paved with gold. The winter's here, the faces there, create the feeling of despair. And I went back to Johnny's for another 6 months, a little small room, and I paid 30 shillings a week. Man, I tell you, that was a lot of money in those days. You see, most decent English people were afraid to let us lodge in their own homes. They had so many misconceptions. How can we embrace them? It was difficult getting into the British way of life. They said, listen to the streets that was paved with gold. They said it's a story that's never been told. Dreamt of the high, the touch, the low, it's given them a passion for time. But within their hearts they felt their souls in the streets that was paved with gold. The winter's here, the faces there, create the feeling of despair. That was where the idea of family worship and shebeens all began. See, there was nowhere for black people to go, no nightclubs or pubs in those days, so we had to create our own entertainment. The dance craze in the 50s was the waltz, the quick step, the tango, the ballroom jive. I remember telling Johnny who I sail over with, singers, doctors, boxers and actors too. One day I said to Johnny, Johnny, what kind of work they got here, man? And he said, I got a lot of work here. For bus conductors, factory workers, domestic services, hospital porters, nurses, you know, stuff like that. I took one look at him, but I couldn't say nothing. You see, I always like acting myself, you know, Shakespeare, Othello, They said, listen to the streets that was paved with gold. They said it's a story that's never been told. Dreamt of the high, the touch, the low. It's given them a passion for time. But within their hearts they felt their souls in the streets that was paved with gold. The winter's here, the faces there, create the feeling of despair. Said, listen to the streets that was paved with gold. They said it's a story that's never been told. Dreamt of the high, the touch, the low. It's given them a passion for time. But within their hearts they felt their souls in the streets that was paved with gold. The winter's here, the faces there, create the feeling of despair.
Right then, so that was The Streets Paved with Gold. And, you know, if you need any more information about that, I'm going to, you know, put it down below. Also, we'll be giving out a special CD. If anybody can comment in the comments what the actual name of the boat in the, was it the Wind?
Oh, you're going to give it away?
Yeah.
What was the name of the boat?
What was the name of the boat? Yeah.
And where
the first person to comment
will
get a free CD.
What was the name of the boat? And where did it land? Not Reader, but where did it land?
Yeah.
Where did it land in London, and what year did it land? make it easy for us.
So you've got the terms and conditions. So let's see it down below in the comments. And again, you know, what do you think is the most challenging, you know, being a poet? And obviously, you know, you do your theatre work as well. How challenging is that for yourself?
It is challenging, as you know, I'm not getting any younger. But I'm just lucky to be able to produce something that's wanted every year. And it's grown in value, it's grown in shelf life, because one of the things that I was told is make sure you bolt on an educational package with it. So for me, the experience, yes, the opportunity, it's grown in stature, and I think for me, I'm glad that I moved it around, not just stayed in drama, but moved to poetry and spoken word, and a lot of the open plan working environments that I've had. So for me, really, it's grown on a entertainment value from here to Gambia to Japan and Caribbean as well. But also I've stayed homegrown, you see, and now for me, moving into the film, to turn from play, drama, poetry, book, music, spoken word, CD into a film. Well, that's a dream come true, and that's where
very big dream.
I haven't really explained the film. What's the play about? The play is about a character who I made up called Augustus Cleveland Johnson, who came from the Caribbean, Barbados, in 1948 on the boat, and when he lands at Tilbury Docks, he describes his experiences coming through the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, 80s, looking for a job, looking for a room, the sort of stories you probably would have heard your mother or your grandparents talk about. You know? And the play is just a room setting, so it's a table and a chair, looking like chair. But what makes it so fascinating is in this room setting that we set up, we put all these old grips, we call them suitcases today, old grips that mommy and daddy would have bought, photographs and things, the old phone, the old clothes, and things that you'd associate with, that's old, you know what I mean? But it's fascinating, the old Jim Reeves and the music, Jim Reeves, Blue Beat, all that kind of, and the character, I aged myself to be around 70, 80 something, old National Health glasses with a cough, pocket watch, you know what I mean? And, you know, and he's been in the country over 50 years, and it's a day before he goes back. So once you transfer all that into a film now, what do? Well, obviously you bring out all the characters, all the people that I mentioned, all the work situations, the fighting with the foreman, the racism, all of that, all the happy times, the parties, my wife's dresses. You get all those other characters and wonderful actresses, my granddaughter to come along, and the story is going to be set up in a house, an old house in London that it hasn't changed for the last 50 years, and there's a few of them around, right? And then to drive the story, we set it up. We get my granddaughter who's come round to help me to pack. So it's like a PG, isn't it? You know, it's a family show. And then she picks up the Bible, oh, Dad, Granddad. So that's how we've done it. We turn it into a one-man play, but we've opened it up. And we'll be screening, the first screening for this is going to be at the BFI, that's the British Film Institute in London, probably the first week in November. I'm not clear on the dates yet, but I know it's an opportunity if you're around. Obviously follow the press. Will give you all the links at the end of this program, but hope you can get to see the film. And the idea is to bring the film around the country, you know, so bring it to people. So again, it's self-funded. I've done it myself, paying all the actors, all the film directors, and again, that's what we need within the community, people who are able to support, sponsor, and the more the money I've been making all the years, putting back into the community, right? You know, make more money. And just before that, in August, there's 3 music videos. There's a Streets Paved with Gold, which you've seen, and there's Blues Party as well. So I don't know if you've seen that, or you're going to see that. But Blues Party, Blues Party. No, Remember Mama. Streets Paved with Gold. Remember Mama, Remember Papa. It's a brilliant music video, and I hope you enjoyed that. And the one that hasn't been premiered yet, but we're going to do it at the BFI on the 30th and 31st of August, where there's got lots of other black films that are going to be screened out today. So all this information we'll have for you towards the end if you want to find out more information and come along and support the work. I've not left you much left to say.
No, I'm actually speechless because we've gone from poetry, then theatre, now films. I'm like, wow, I'm sitting here with a star. But again, you know, you got events coming up in the future. Any like a spoken word poetry events or?
Yeah, words are powerful. I think if people can get along, it's in Birmingham though. In Birmingham and Nottingham, the 12th of October in Birmingham, and the 26th of October in Nottingham. I know the one in Nottingham is Marcus Garvey, but I'm not quite sure of the address. But all these details are available. And the flyer is available on my Facebook. Shall I give you my Facebook? Might as well, innit? Because I'm running with it. You know? So if they go to my Facebook, Victor Richards, if you can find me, not that big muscle man, or go to my website, www.vjtheatre.net. That's www.vjtheatre.net. You get more information, but most people go to Facebook. You get more Facebook and find me on there. I'm on Twitter as well, Victor Richards, so you'll get me on there. And certainly hope we can link.
Yeah, definitely, most definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it would be just a quick performance from yourself.
No pressure, right?
No pressure. No. Be on live camera.
Live camera, all right, okay. All right, I think I have something in mind. We're not going to do no backing music. We're just
we'll just roll it.
Yeah.
So
I think poetry best served cold.
Yeah.
Don't need music.
So there you have it. The serving there, just all you can eat. Now, thank you very much for
Thank you. I'm going to share a piece of poetry with you. It's called Freedom of Mind, and it comes from one of my 4 productions, I Spy Through the World's Eye. I hope you like it. I am free to dream, but I have missed out on so much. Blinded by the truth the world has to share. Evolution, birth, death. Nature is so fascinated, but my eyes are blinkered. Flora and fauna, trees, birds, lands, skies, the wisdom and spirituality of the 7 ages of man. I have so much to learn, and we have to take ownership of this planet. History teaches us about war and peace, love, hate, crime, and punishment. But what do we value as people? World issues link us all. And what about Einstein's theory of relativity? Breaking news that happens every moment, such as Haiti earthquake, Asian tsunami, Icelandic volcano ash, the London bombings, Japan disaster. Who destroyed the Twin Towers? Or what about global warming? Excuse me, I'm having one of my energizing moments. I'm now absorbing information at an alarming rate, like a lexicographer compiling a dictionary or an encyclopedia thirsty for knowledge to fill its pages. I am cocooned no longer in my human weakness or in my comfort zone. Suddenly I see and understand many complicated things. So please join me now as I spy through the world's eye. Let me share with you some of the things that used to faze me, but through time has changed me. One day when I woke up from my slumber, I felt my brain capacity had expanded. Through time, I learned to grow and flex with it. I see the strangest of visions. Downloading from a computer screen in my mind, a document opens. I see pictures of people's lives. At times, I'm transported to another host's body. I sense everything that they see, hear, feel, and touch. Their stories are surreal, snapshot of other people's lives, past and present. It's quite profound, I know, even a bit spooky. Well, I must have been selected for a reason. Young people today have their own shorthand method of communicating. People phone, fax, text, email, and moan. That verbal conversation takes up too much time. We rush from place to place, not acknowledging that we are in danger of losing the art of conversation, imagination, expressions, and reading books. The young interface with machines and digital technology, but the true skills of an orator will reunite a nation, starting with today's audience. Saving this planet Earth for future generations will take commitment, dedication, and more people participating to help heal this global village, Earth. Peace.